Hello. In this video, we will be doing what I hope is the last time going through Power BI, um, doing our tutorial. So we will be creating a Power BI visualization from Excel, and we will be following this tutorial with a few changes. Most importantly, I will be using Power BI, the online application, as opposed to using Power BI desktop. So you can largely follow along with that one, but honestly, it's the same basic steps, but things just are not in the same place. And you can look at the PowerPoint, you can look at the PDF that I have in Canvas, but you're probably just going to want to follow along with this lecture where I do everything in the online tool just because I think it's probably easier for all of you. The idea of the visualization here is to take some data and be able to see what months are better, what years, what countries, what regions, what product segments. So we're going to take some sample data and we're going to do a few transformations of the data. And then we're going to build a report that will have a title and a map and a bar graph and then a slicer that lets us see it by time frame. So, like I said, I'm going to be doing this in Power BI, the online platform. Um, Even though the tutorial uses Power BI Desktop, I'm going to be using Power BI Service, which you can log into at app.powerbi.com. And you're going to need the data file that I have posted in Canvas. So go to app.powerbi.com and log in, and you probably won't see anything because you haven't created anything here before. Obviously, you see a bunch of things I've made before. So in the top left corner there, we're going to click on New Report. And it's going to ask, okay, where do you want the data to come from? And you're going to click Get Data. And then just to show you how the desktop version looks different, obviously it looks different. The same things are there, but it's just different. So, say we're going to open the new file and we're going to want an Excel workbook. And then wherever it is that you downloaded the spreadsheet data to, probably your downloads folder, you're going to click there to open it. Then once it opens, you'll see a couple different things on the screen um, that obviously a person could use if you're going to access enter your credentials, your username, and your password. If you were going to be using some live online data, we're using a static Excel file just to keep this a little bit simpler. So there aren't any credentials we really need to enter here. So we're going to click next. And then we're going to see a table format like this. And before the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make some transformations to this data. So we'll be clicking this transform data button down there on the bottom. But before we do that, I want to just walk you through the transformations that we are going to be making. The number of units sold is not a whole number. It might be like a half or something. So we're going to fix that to be a whole number. Then we are going to make the segments uh, column into uppercase letters. We're going to change the name of one of the columns just to be month. And then we're going to exclude a particular product from our analysis because that product is not being sold anymore. And then lastly, we're going to change the column that contains the country into a specific data format. Um, so that's the last step we're going to do. So as you look across the data, you can see like country, it has that ABC. That means that's just text. It doesn't know that's a geographical data type. If you see the number 123, that means it's an integer number, a whole number. If you see 1.2, that means it's a decimal number. So we're going to click on the units sold column. And you can't see it right now because it's covered up by this pull down menu. So we're going to click on that. Um, so we're going to click on that column and then we're going to, sorry, I'm moving these dumb things around that are in my way and cramping my style. Hide float. Okay, sorry. So we're going to click on that column and then you can see we're going to click on where it says whole number and that will turn everything into whole numbers. So we've got whole number right there. And it's going to say, hey, do you want to change this column type? And you're going to say, yes, I do. So that will replace the current values. So click replace current. And that was easy to do. Now, to make the segments uppercase really is easy. Click on the segments column, and then up on the top, you're going to click transform. And then under transform, we're going to click on um, this little square with the little corners highlighted and little crayon there. So click on that to transform it, and we're going to select uppercase. So then you should see what I've got down in the lower left corner there, that government, mid-market, etc., whatever is all capitalized. So that was easy. To change the column of month name to month is as easy as you would expect. Just go to that column, double click to be able to edit it, and then just change the name to month. So that's obviously easy. Removing Montana from the product analysis is not hard. So you'll see the product column and click on the down arrow to open the pull down menu there. And you can see in the left side of my screen that all of the products are selected to be shown. We're just going to uncheck the box for Montana. And so looking over on the right side of the screen, you can see the original view shows just the listing of transactions. We've got Carretera and then Montana, and then we can't see what's next. But now that we've removed Montana and clicked OK, now it just goes from Carretera down to Paseo because Montana is not showing up there. If you were to go in and look at the data, you would see that now we've gone from 700 rows down to 607 rows because 93 rows of Montana information is not being included. So we could see a list of transformations that we made over there on the side. So we're going to click Create a Report. And now we have to decide what are we going to call this. So I went to My Workspace on this pop-up that comes, and I gave a name to this semantic model. I called it Practice Version 3, and I clicked Create. And so then it'll give you this screen saying that's created the semantic model, and now it's waiting for us to open the report editor. So over on my workspace on the left side, we're going to click on that, and it's going to show all the things that I have in my workspace. If you're not seeing the version you want of the file because you've been doing some things, you might want to sort by date refreshed to get the most recent one at the top. Um, and so we're just going to click on it on the title. So we're opening the semantic model. Well, it's going to show you the semantic model. And then in the top left, we're going to click on open. Um, so it's going to now show us this view. And in the top right corner, it's going to say viewing, which will not allow us to make any changes. So we want to click on editing so we can make changes to the semantic model. And then a little pop-up will say this has been converted to a large semantic model storage format. Version history is now available. Cool. Um, and so the last step of our transformation here is about the country. So you see over here on the left country, it doesn't have that little capital sigma sign. So that doesn't, it's not a number. And it doesn't have a date field. So it's just being treated as text. And it will make our lives easier if we can convert that to geographic information. So we're going to click on country. And then you see in the middle of the screen here, it says properties. And if you scroll down, you'll see once you click on country, you'll see general, formatting, and advanced. So click on the little greater than sign in advanced and scroll down to data category. And right now it's uncategorized. It's just being treated as text. So scroll down from that and click country region. And then that's what we needed to do. So above, you see what it looked like at the first, where country was just had no icon next to it. But now country has the little globe, which means now country is being treated as geographic data. And so that was the last transformation that we needed to make. So here's what your screen is going to look like, where we've got country off to the right there with the little globe on it. So now we're ready to go and create our report, our visualization. So we're going to go back to my workspace, um, and that was a leftover slide from the old version. Don't worry about that. So we're back in my workspace, and there is my file that I was just editing. So I'm going to the right of the name, you see these three little dots that say more options. We're going to click on that. And now I'm going to click create report. So click create report. And that takes me to the page where now we can build our visualizations. So just to recap what we've done so far, um, we imported the data and we did some transformations, which were largely cosmetic, making the numbers whole numbers and making capital letters and things like that. But making the location into geographic data type, we could not do that in there. So that's where we had this step we just did, where we edited the data model. But now we're ready to create the visualization. So we've got our blank canvas here. We're going to click on financials, and expand it. We don't need the filters, card, whatever they call that. So you can minimize that. And so we've going to have our screen is going to look like this now. So again, you can see on the right, sales, anything with that capital sigma sign, those are numeric values. The calendar indicates a date, and then the little globe indicates locations. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a title up along the top there. There's a little um, bubble kind of thing to indicate a text box. We're going to click on that, and that's going to let us enter a text box. So resize it, give it a title, make it bold, make it something interesting. And so now we've got a title for our report. So that was the first thing, add the title. Second thing is we're going to add a line graph for the profits. So over on the right side there, click on profit and uh, drag it into the report, or just in the report, and then click on profit, and it's going to make a little bar graph. You could go and click on date, and it'll give us a bunch of bar graphs, or what I decided to do was go up to click on line chart under the visualizations card there. And it's not a very interesting line chart because we just have one chart because we just have one dot. Okay. So then over on the date section, select year and month by expanding the date hierarchy. And so now we've got a line graph showing us the sales over the time period that we have here. We don't need quarter and day, so we can unselect those if those were selected. So we've got a title, we've got this line graph. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the map. So on the visualizations tab there's a thing that looks like a upward pointing arrowhead. That's Azure Maps. So we're going to click on that, and that's going to create a map over on the left side. If it accidentally turned your line graph into a map, um, undo that, and then click on a blank space on the main page there, and then click Azure Maps, and now we'll get this blank placeholder of a map. So click on the map, and then looking on the visualizations part, we'll see location. and then the information about how do we get the locations to be graphed. So we're going to click on country and we're going to drag that down and put it in the location section. Um, so now we've got the start of a map. And we're going to click on it and we're going to say that we want a filled map. Right now, the filled map is turned off, and that's why the map is just these little blue circles. We want to color it in to make a choropleth map. So we're going to click filled map. And so now we've got the filled in map. And then under at filled map, click on the greater than to get this pull down menu to appear. And then under colors, we're going to click this little FX button so that we can do some visual effects. So we'll get this pop-up that's going to appear now. And under the formatting style, we want to click a gradient. So the color goes a gradient from a light color to a dark. And then what I like to do is then set the lowest value to be just full white, and then set the highest value to be a darker version of blue, but you can do whatever you like. Um, and then we need to tell it what value, so you can see over on the right there, the colors I ended up with. And then we need to tell it what field should the gradient be based on, and it should be based on sales. So we're going to click on sales. So we've got this color gradient going. So there's our map. And the last thing we're going to do to the map is right ab if you minimize the filled map section, below that you see this little sec item for marker layer. Right now it's turned on. If you turn that off, it'll get rid of those little blue circles on the map that are not adding any value. So there's our map. And we can click on a country, and now we'll see the sales for that country for the full time period of our data. So we've got a nice interactive tool here. You click on a country and we see what the sales have done over time. So the fourth visual we're going to add is the sales by product and segment. So click on an open space on the canvas, and then over on the right-hand side, select sales, product, and segment. And if you don't do it in that order, it might not work out correctly. So it might make a table, hopefully not, but it might make a table. If it does, click on the table and then click on the visualization section for the clustered column chart. And then we'll get this, and that's the clustered column chart option. And we'll get a little bar graph. And then we're going to expand that to fill up the bottom of the screen. And now we got a pretty useful looking thing here. The colors on your map might be different. So then the last thing we're going to add here is this slicer. So we're going to need some empty space over on the left side. So you have to resize your visualizations you've made so far. And then on the data pane, take date and just drag it into that open space. So we'll have something like that. And now we want to use the slicer. And the slicer is there under visualizations, and it's got it's a white square with a tiny little funnel down on the bottom. So click on that. And then we're going to want to just choose the date options of year and month. And that's what we need. So now we can view our report looking at things just 1 month at a time. So now we want to go save it in the top corner there in the top right. Click Save this report. So you need to give it a name somewhere. So save it to your workspace, give it a name, and it's going to say that's been saved. Yahoo Yippee Skippy. So now we're done. And your last step is to share it with me. So along that top ribbon there, click share. And then you'll get a pop-up that will allow you to share it with me. So enter your email address. And that's all you should need to do. So hopefully that all works. Thanks.